looking at snowfalls in states that don't usually have snowfalls. Um, this is supposed to be tropical. This is the only tropical state of the US. And we're having like near freezing temperatures, 38 degrees, cold in the morning, right? And so I immediately start again, which I was asking you earlier, associating it with how does this tie in with Bible? And as I begin to start to tie it in with Bible, I thought about these wars, President of the United States going over to Venezuela and kidnapping. I don't mean to laugh, but kidnapping their president. I've never heard of anything like that. And I've been here doggone near 70 years. I've never ever heard of anything like that. They would go over there and take them out usually, but to bring them back, and now we're gonna sit you down. We're gonna tell you what we want, and if you behave, we're gonna let you go back and run the company. Country, and by the way, we're gonna control your oil. It's crazy. It's blatant, right? And I'm not saying this to talk about Trump. I don't care less about politicians one way or another, because I don't believe that the person in the seat makes the calls. I believe there are people that make the calls that he responds to and they respond to. I've always believed that. So Republican, Democrat don't mean anything to me. Um, but I started looking at it from the perspective of this lines up with biblical. Kwame talked about Revelations. I talked about Matthew 24 and the sign of his return, the sign of his coming in for a resurrection day. For communion, resurrection day. I'm already moving into April. For communion, I think this is a decent, a correct message to have. We are supposed to be tuned, and I said a lot of stuff before we start recording, but I talked about, you know, praise heavy or compliment heavy, that our relationship and is so strong, Nelly and I, in terms of constantly building each other up and speaking on each other's beauty, that when things do go south, as they do, it's so heavy in the area of encouragement and praise and compliment and talking about the goodness of each other, that it has no weight. And I said, with God, it should be the same. Are we spending enough time talking to God about his goodness or meditating on his goodness? So looking at the world based on the word, I started thinking, God, how much attention are we really giving you? How much, we say give God the glory. And I want to tell you something about that phrase, and this might ruffle some feathers. I think that phrase is corny. And the reason I say it's corny, not because it's corny, because the way God said it's corny, what man has done to it. Because when they say give God glory, what they mean is in Sunday, on service, in church, while the music is playing and the energy is high and everybody's jumping up and down and waving their hands and shouting and praising and worshiping. And this is what they call giving God glory, right? Um, no, people do that at Tony Robbins seminars. Giving God glory is a lifestyle. It's not what you do on that day when the energy is high and everybody's crying and playing the music and worshiping and the pastor says a word that kind of speaks to you, so it must be for me. And that's not it. It's the lifestyle. So I started asking God, I said, God, I've never really been traditional pastor type material. What am I doing right now to focus on your return? What am I doing? How am I focused? I always get on here and I encourage you guys. My message is strongly covenant. And I get on here and I talk to you about covenant. I talk to you about God's love. I talk to you about God's protection. I talk to you about God's provision. I talk to you about God's holiness, purity. But I'm like, but are we really seeking that out as his people? Listen close to my question. As God's people, are we seeking God out in moments when we have these God moments, be it church or something ain't going right in my life. So now I need to really put on some worship music and turn it up loud and really just kind of try to block out the thoughts in my head and spirit by drowning out with some music and singing at the top of my voice. You don't have to look at me like that. You know what I'm talking about. So it's not healing a situation. It's not even being delivered from a situation. It's kind of noising it out. You know what I mean? But if I play enough noise and if I jump around and do enough calisthenics, I can make myself forget, watch this, and feel better for a minute and feel better for a moment. And we're Jesus. Okay, Lord, listen, I'm trying to be nice, but you keep pushing me. All right. And feel better. Somebody say feel better. But feel better don't mean you are better. It just means you temporarily feel better. So God becomes the aspirin. Every time we get in a situation, God becomes icy hot. But there's no healing involved. There's no correction involved. There's no me pulling closer to God. It's feeling better. So I'm telling you all this to say this story. I'm in the gym and conversation goes on and they start going on with political and how we as a people need to pull together and blah 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 and on and on and on and going. And then the conversation turned into the images of Jesus being white when Jesus was really black, and that needs to be said. And I said, even if one would rise from the dead, they would still not believe. Painting the picture black won't make people that don't want to serve God, period. Like, no, but it'd be good for us to understand as a people, you know. And then he started going on and he started crossing over to kind of the white devil conversation. And I mean, he was strong about it. I mean, no matter how much, try to say what the word says this, then he pushed back with, it's Christian man. Yeah, but what depends on what Bible you reading because there's the lost books of Upa Duplia and Upa Lupa and all this stuff, and I'm like, so I said, Lord, I really want to back out of this conversation because this conversation is going nowhere. He's got a year but for everything, and God did the checkmate. And right at the time God did this checkmate, one of his clients walked in who happened to be Caucasian, but God was like, deliver it anyway. And I said, okay, so you're arguing that the original man was the black man. That's right. And all the stories in the Bible, black. Jesus black, yeah. Is Israel's black, yeah. Okay. So that means that everything we are going through is the consequence of our disobedience, just like them. Constantly worshiping pagans, turning their back on God. So that means even the transatlantic slave trade is the result of us worshiping foreign gods and not upholding our God. So at the end of the day, then it's our fault. And if we are the motherland, the original people, then at the end of the day, the Caucasian generation is our descendants that have turned against us. See, he didn't want to think that deep, or he didn't stop to think that deep. He just wanted to throw up moments. I said, spirituality is something you can throw away when you want to deal with feelings. And the enemy's aware that we deal with feelings, so he continues to throw things at us to make us focus on feelings. But when truth is solid in you, when feelings rise up, truth supersedes feelings and puts feelings back in its place. Because feelings have no place in the move and the power of God. I need you to understand this. Feelings are just for us to interact with each other, but feelings are not how we interact with God. I'm going to say that one more time, just so you, thank you, Celine. I'm going to say that one more time for the record. We're not supposed to respond and have a relationship with God based on feelings. That'll shut down 90% of churches right now. Because we believe that our relationship with God is based on feelings. If we feel good, God loves us. If we don't feel good, God ain't pleased with us. If things are going the way we want it to go, what an awesome God we serve. Things ain't going the way we want them to go. I guess God must be pleased with me, must be sin. It must not be sin. There must be sin in my life. And it's all feelings, right? And truth, stay with me, has been buried under feelings. So God now can't function with us in truth. He's got to function with us in situation, or what God spoke to me years ago about as outcome based behavior. We behave with God based on how outcomes are. Can we have this conversation or what? Okay. So if it goes a certain way, God is with me. If it doesn't, God is not. Not he said he's with me, though I make my bed in hell, you are there with me. Oh no, none of that. I don't feel good right now. I don't feel good about my situation. So therefore, God's truth is now been altered to match my feelings. So we have to have these momentary bursts of victories just to feel that we're still with God. Come on, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about up in here. You know what I'm talking about up in here. So, watching God now, stay with me. Watching God now, I'm saying, God is too much focused on me and how I feel. And I need to get back to the focus on truth. Now, stay with me. What I'm about to say right now is very important. I say it, sometimes it's received well, sometimes it's not. I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me. Okay, are we clear on that? Most of you probably could do double what you are right now. Chances of me living to 140, not so much. And truthfully speaking, I don't want it. You can have all of that. I'm good, right? Now, because of that, I want to say this in a way that it doesn't come off negative, because I don't mean this in a negative way. But I'm looking at the fact of the finality of my life. I'm looking at the fact that I'm finite in a way that you may not yet. I'm looking at the clock being counted the other way. I don't mean in the bad way, like, I ain't gonna be here long. No, I mean just the reality of, can we be honest? Any of you ever had a pet? How long does a dog usually live? What, 7 years, 8 years? If it lives to 20 years, that's a miraculous dog. But you know this dog that dearly love, and Caucasian people can relate to this more, that you love and kiss and let drink out your mouth and sleep in the bed with you and all this kind of nasty stuff, right? You know, I know some people are gonna be offended by it, but it is what it is. You know that all that love and energy you give into it, if things go right, that dog gonna be gone. He's gone in another 10 years. Now, let's think about this. We have the ability to share love with an eternal God that's going to be there forever. And if we walk right, we'll be there forever with him. But our relationship with him is based on feelings. So, started praying about it. I know I'm taking a long journey, but this is where God sent me, so this is where I am. So I started to pray about it. And I started to say, God, I don't want anything to be important to me. Nellie was with me when I first said it, and we were with Alan and his wife. I said, at this point in my life, I don't care about anything but having a relationship with God. And of course, they looked at me kind of side-headed, like, but you have a relationship with God. And I was like, no, I want to have the relationship with God. Like, I don't care about this, that, or the other. Take all of it, I'll be fine. I just want to know at this point, as I'm a senior pushing up there near 70, I just want to know what's really important. And I know I'm going on, but if this is blessing you, wave a hand or give me something to let me know that I'm on your path. I'm like, now I understand why the old people always kind of have the, yeah, baby, just leave it in God's hands. It's not, and you understand it now. I understand it in a different way because they're looking at life as, yeah, this is your generation. I'm moving over here now. And so I cannot care about things that everybody else cares about in a different way. So I said, God, I'm looking at the world, I'm looking at the things that's going on, I'm looking at the weather, I'm looking at all these things, and this is promises in your word at the end time. But I've seen stuff before throughout this life that I've lived that made me go, oh, it's the end time. And 30, 40 years later, here I still am. So I guess it wasn't, right? But that's feelings. So God began to say to me, my word tells you what to do in these times. So let's go now to the scripture and let's walk through some of what Jesus was explaining and what I'm trying to relay to you. And I'm in the NIV of Matthew 24. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him and called to his attention its buildings. Do you see these things? He asked. Truly, I tell you, not one stone will be left on another. Will be thrown down. Now, I want you to understand this. I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to make a point, and I'm going to make a point real, real strong, real clear. You're listening to me? They were as offended by him saying that at that time, because you got to remember those edifices and those spiritual buildings to them were everlasting and would never end. I want you to understand this. At that time, what they knew was that they couldn't see planes, they couldn't see cell phones or iPads on television screens or anything back there. So, what they were looking at, listen to me close, was the peak of what civilization had to offer at that moment. Are you with me? So that oh, this one and Elon, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here will be dust wasting away in the ground one day soon or another. Him, Trump, Hillary, or Barack, me. Sooner or later, we'll be either a stone statue somewhere, placed somewhere, or 100% forgotten and never talked about again. Are we clear on that? But at the time, for Jesus to say that this thing will be thrown down was like, huh, this is the peak of what mankind has to offer. And you said one stone will not be sitting on another? Whew, that was some strong words. But what he was saying was, its relevance will fade with time. The relevance of what hurts you, what bothers you, what makes you feel bad, the relevance of that will fade sometime in a very short time. They're talking about this whole big thing that probably took them, who knows, a decade to build, and it represents the glory of God to them and where we do our sacrifice. He said, not one stone will be on another. Woo, the nerve of you to say something like that. How dare you say something like that? So I want you to understand this. And as Jesus moving forward, and as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, one of the disciples came to him and privately, tell us, he said, when will this happen, and what will be the signs in the coming of the end of the age? Now, he, you're gonna laugh with this or not. He came to him privately after they all probably pushed him to come to him, because he came to him privately and said, tell us. So that means they was like, no, you ask him. No, I'm going to ask him. You ask him. Yeah, okay, well, let's do rock, paper, scissors. You got to go ask him. You know what I'm saying? They pushed him to go ask for them. So he came and said, and he didn't, and to spare him embarrassment or whatever, they even put his name, one of the disciples. They usually name the disciples, but they were whoever, Matthew probably was the one, because he said, I ain't gonna put my name on there. I'm just gonna say one of the disciples, or they had a conversation, whatever the case may be. I'm just being a wise guy right now, but let's keep it real. They asked him, he came to him privately and asked him, when will this happen? And what will be the signs of the coming of your coming in the end of the age? Now, this is deep because there was a point where he said, I'm going to go and I'm going to pass away. And Peter looked up and said, you will not die. But obviously, at this point, whoever this disciple is has accepted that that is the truth, that you're going to leave and there's going to be a second coming. Pay attention to this. This is what I'm saying to you guys is real important right now. Because I'm trying to get you in the mindset of people and not just reading these stories of some little, storybook, whatever. This disciple has accepted before Jesus' death that he is going to go and he's going to be coming back and it would be the end of the age. He's accepted something about that to be true, even though that didn't make sense to anybody there. He accepted that Jesus saying not one stone will be left on another, and that there might be truth to that. And why is that important? Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. It's important because if you remember when they crucified him, one of the taunts they threw in Jesus' face was, "This is the one that said he's going to tear down the whole temple, and let me see if he can save himself." Right? So that word got around, and they were greatly offended by it to the point that even in his crucifixion, they threw that up in his face. Yeah, this is the one who said he's going to tear down the temple. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? They said this. If you don't remember it, again, read your Bible a little bit more. Spend a little more time in your word. And Jesus says this. Ready? Watch out that no one deceives you. So his first thing is, don't be led by feelings and get deceived. Be aware. Watch out. I'm going to give you some truth, and I want you to pay attention to the truth and not the way things feel. Watch out, for many will come in my name, claiming I am Messiah, and will deceive many. Let me try that again. For many there will be a false Messiah. There will be a false Messiah who will come and he'll be there. No, 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 no. The word he used here was many. So he didn't say one would come. He said a bunch would come. Are you listening to me? If you led by feelings, if the first one don't get you, the second one will make the adjustment and get you. Many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. Stay with me. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. But see to it that you are not alarmed. Okay, so for the people who understand and argue about Trump, this, that, and what's going on, the war, this, you will hear of them. Isn't that what we're hearing about? Wars and rumors of them. You will hear wars and rumors of wars. But see to it that you are not alarmed. But see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things will happen, but the end is still to come. Let me stop right there. So when anytime somebody want to get to this conversation with you about, you see what he's doing, he's going to go to the Second World War, he said, yeah. That stuff going to happen, but don't be alarmed. That's not the end. The end is still coming. That's not it yet. First of all, this should be giving some of you some ease. It should get some of you out of some of these stupid conversations that people want to have. Come on, saints. He said, yeah, that's going to happen. Let me see if I can say it like I think Jesus said it. Oh, yeah, there's going to be wars. There's going to be, presidents doing this and countries doing that and nuclear this and all that stuff. That ain't it. Don't even worry about that. That's what he said. Wait a minute. You talking about wars and rumors of wars and mass destruction, and Jesus like, nah, that ain't it. That's not it. Don't worry about it. Don't be alarmed. You and I and not supposed to be entangled in civilian affairs. Come on. Soldiers don't get entangled in civilian affairs. I know that that sounds complicated, but I'm telling you the truth. Right now, and it's looking crazy. And and Trump just been there 1 year. Oh, he gonna do this, or he gonna turn it to this. Oh, look what the ISIS is doing in the street. Yep. You need to have to be wars farming. We got wars right here on domestic soil. The people versus the military. Come on now. And what did Jesus say? Don't worry about it. Don't be alarmed. I can't believe what ISIS is doing. Don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed. Don't worry about all of that. That's what he said. Don't worry about all of that. Leave that alone. Leave that all alone. Don't touch with that. Don't mess with that. That's not for you to worry about. Why? Let me finish here. This is Jesus talking. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Boy, this sounds so familiar, right? Does that sound familiar? But what was his response? These are all the beginning of birth pains. By God. If you messed up about this, you are not ready for what's coming. He said, this is just the beginning of birth pains. You're not even ready to give birth yet. You just starting to have your first little kick or whatever. You don't even know what you dealing with if you want to keep whining and crying about how these things make you feel. I don't care if it's Charlie Kirk or whoever it is. Let me tell you something. This is just the beginning of birth pains. You're not even in labor yet. Are you listening to me? So if you wussing right now, you're not ready for this. And if you wussing right now, you are definitely primed to be deceived when the fake Messiah comes because you're looking for anything that makes you feel good and makes you feel like everything is going to be all right. And this is the point that is being made. Are you with me? You can't get caught up in the feelings and emotions of things. Man, these are the beginning of birth pains. These are the beginning of birth pains. Well, here's the part that I read, and I was like, I don't like this. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. So the wars and rumors of wars don't get you. Here it is. And watch what's going to happen. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. Well, this is a good hallelujah dance around scripture, right? This is not one of those, I know, but hey, it's the truth. They will turn away from the faith. Many of them will turn away. They will hate each other. They'll hate you. They'll hate the fact that you believe. The nerve of you. I don't come in here with that Christian crowd. I see it online all the time. They go in. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. So you got false messiahs coming and deceiving, and now you got false prophets coming and deceiving. I don't know if you're catching the message, but what it's saying is be aware, pay attention. And you can't do that if you're in your emotions. You just can't. Because because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the ones who stand firm to the end will be saved. And the gospel of the kingdom will be preached to the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Let's bring it home. You and I need to be so locked into the truth right now that all these other distractions and noises don't have weight. I told you guys weeks ago about maybe months ago about this. God started making me go into these chat rooms where they're talking about spiritual sorcery, demons, speaking to the demons, having relationships, blah, 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 blah. Well, I went into this one, and I told you about it, and I shared, and the host, kept saying, "We appreciate you as a Christian and a man of the Bible, that you don't come in judging us and telling us we're going to hell and all this kind of stuff, and we appreciate that." And I said, "Yeah, man, I'm not churchy, and I don't do the churchy thing." I said, "But I'll just share the truth as I know it. I'm not here to insult anybody, but everybody sharing their beliefs, I'm going to share mine." Well, I don't know if I told you, I think I told you about the day that he just said, "Tell us about how you came to your faith." Did I tell you that happened? And he just gave me the floor and just let me share my faith and talk about how I got saved and the spiritual encounters I've had and all these things. And I said, "I don't want to take up too much time." He said, "No, no, take your time." It was a Saturday morning. I'll never forget. I was standing out in the garage. And he let me share my walk, my experience, things I've seen in the realm of the spirit, everything. After I finished, then some other guy said, "Well, okay, well, let's let somebody else tell the way how they got there." But nobody volunteered. Nobody jumped in. I said, "Listen, guys, I love talking to you, but gotta run."